All right, guys, the new FD700 Ford dedicated handheld came in. You guys voted on it that are in the Discord group, and it was a choice between the battery load tester and the Ford dedicated handheld. And seeing as the majority of people that are on this channel are Ford followers, consumers, or maybe some people just have independent shops or something on this channel that end up liking reviews on certain topics or things like this. So this is the Ansel FD700. The scan tool comes in, or the handheld comes in a covered case. You can actually take this off of here, and it's a pretty large screen, pretty decent size for a handheld. It feels pretty robust, and it's actually very nice. Big keypads and stuff on it. OBD port comes with what I'm thinking, a data link of some sort to update it if it ever needs to be updated. The port is right in the bottom of it, right here. What's going on, man? On the package, the front pamphlet of the package, it says right on the side, service reset, throttle adaptation, electronic parking brake reset, DPF function. So it's saying that it has all these functions that a lot of handhelds don't have. A lot of them can't go into certain parking brake things or specific features like regen status and stuff like that to actually see what's going on or put something in until you get to the higher end scanners. But this is just a simple base handheld, and I haven't seen a lot of base model handhelds that can do that. And seeing as Ansel has, or Amazon rep has been working with us here and gave us the outstanding deal on the Power Probe, they love the review on that. They said they'll continue working with the channel, and they will actually continue giving us products, giving me products to keep and review, which I don't make money on, but they're giving me the product to review it and then giving you guys a pretty outstanding discount on the product itself, which you're not going to get anywhere else unless somebody's reviewing the product. The Power Pro, what was it, like 120 or something like that, and then with the Amazon discount it was marked down to like $77 when you applied the coupon, and then they gave us like an additional 35% off, which most people that applied everything correctly ended up walking away with that Power Probe, or circuit probe that they call it, for like $50, $53. On the back of it here, it says special functions, reset PCM, TCM cam, oil change reset, battery management system reset, electronic parking brake pad reset, injector quantity adjustment, DPF regeneration, steering angle sensor, basic functions, read fault codes, erase fault codes, read data streams, all systems, OBD functions, read codes, erase codes, monitor readiness, retrieve data stream, Evap Test, vehicle information, and then it gets down into the specifics down here on further information on it. It works on all models after 96, compliant to US, European, and Asian vehicles. So they're saying that this is more than just a, I'm still at work. This is more than just a Ford dedicated tool. Even though this is a Ford scanner, it has the capability to do other things as well. Yeah. Is this another scan? I'm not sure what you're asking, another scan tool. There was never an additional scan tool on the channel. I don't know what you're asking. So it says it works on all after 96 OBD2 compliant US, European, and Asian vehicles. So it's not just a Ford. You can actually do some data clearing codes and stuff on other makes and models as well, but it's a base Ford structured scan tool. So the specifics of actually getting into things and performing tests and making things function, it's saying it's more tailored to Ford vehicles than anything. They have different numbered items that their handhelds can specialize in, like Toyota or Nissan or Honda or something like that, but can still talk to other vehicles. This one is a Ford specialized handheld that has the function of talking to other vehicles as well. And then User's manual, it basically walks you through the entire process of what every single thing in here means, like icon wise on the screen. It actually walks you through explaining what every single screen is, explaining the different functions. Let's see here. You can get into data streaming for checking specifics like AC pressure sensor voltage, special functions like going into the PCM and resetting the keep alive memory. If you've just put like a steering rack or something in a vehicle that doesn't require further updating, but it needs to see steering angle reset, you can reset steering angle to neutral. As long as the vehicle's on a level ground and it's stable, the steering wheel center, you can go in and reset your steering wheel position sensor. It'll give you actually injector quantity adjustments. So basically it'll say, it'll pop up in the screen for the Ford stuff. It'll give your injector number, the data set, and it'll actually give you specifics on the injector. And it'll actually name it out to where it says this is Ford's code for the intake air temp sensor open or short, and it'll say Ford P1113. It'll give you specifics about that code and what it's tailored to. Drive cycle measurements, unit of measure, skin style. You could change the different languages and stuff inside it. It says choose beeper and it displays as follows. So you can actually have the beeper on or off. And it'll actually, as you're pushing functions and stuff like that, it'll give you an audible. New software is good. Service writer at a repair shop. So what's the news going to tell you that it's a Ford? I'm not sure how to respond to that, Stephen. Yeah, it says it's on. It'll actually bring up all of the different modules online and give you specifics on each one of them. We can go out and look. We can go hook up to a vehicle and I can show you. Let's do that now before I leave tonight. The update software is only supported by 7, 8, and 10 Windows. If the computer system is 7, please click install driver.bat in the driver file, so it actually goes through exactly what you need to do to keep this handheld updated by the different Windows protocol. I'm going to fold that over so I have that, because I'm going to have to install that on my computer here. I wonder if we hooked it into an FDRS system, like a brand new one, what would happen? I have something out there that we can go hook it into as well. 2020 and above, when they all started going to the new system. I wonder if this would communicate. It'd be neat if it did. Let's actually go out to a vehicle and use this thing. I mean, I don't mind. I'll just come back and I'll leave all this stuff here and we'll go out and use it. See what it can do. Yeah, I'm ready to go home, but I figured I'd cover this real quick and let you guys know that it was here. Let's go hook up to the actual cop car real quick and see if it'll actually see if it will communicate with an FDRS system. May as well. It's right here anyway. You guys may hear people yelling and joking around and screaming in the background and stuff. You know how mechanics are and everybody screw around, so I apologize for that ahead of time. I'm going to set you guys up on laptop right here in the police car. Turn it on. Alright, key on. See if it will communicate. Okay, we're on. The tether's not very long. So you can go into regular OBD, it says here, or you can go into something that says for Ford specifically. So let's just go to for Ford specifically and see if it will read. Okay, it did. It picked up the vehicle right away. System scan. Oh, so it's not. Maybe it's not set up for the FDRS system. It can identify the vehicle, but it won't talk to it. Yeah, okay, so we cannot use this on FDRS. It is not. It'll identify it, but it won't speak to it. Let's see if we can go back to just regular OBD, and it will speak to it. So regular OBD, it looks like maybe it will. Let's see if we can data stream. So regular OBD we can. But to get into the specifics, like the actual like electronic parking brake, to run any kind of specific test, it's not going to let us do that. But it will let us get into the basics of what's going on with the engine, like I'm going to push the accelerator pedal. Let's see what happens. So this only works at a 80% wide open throttle. I'm coming off of it right now. Okay. So we can see basics. But that's all we can see. And it's not giving us very much as it is anyway. Select specific items. Okay, so we can go in and select individual things. Well, that's the stuff we were just looking at. Yeah, see, we can't get very much out of it. We can just look at a few basic things, and that's it with the 2020 vehicles. So it's not going to give us everything on a new 2020 and above. Will it run the Evap Test? Yeah, it's not going to work very well with the 2020. It's just giving all basic generic answers. I like this screen. I like how big it is. I like the case on it. It feels nice. Will it let me do anything with the battery? Please turn off. So it's reading voltage. Please turn off the engine. Okay. Please start the engine. This is probably not the best vehicle to do this on because it's a hybrid. I'm going to disregard what we're doing here with this. I think we're kind of like asking for problems and wasted time, seeing as we can't really get into everything on the FDRS system here because it is a different program. It's not the regular OBD stuff. So let's go to another vehicle. I mean, we can go to my town car. We can try out this Toyota Camry right here and see if we can talk to that. What do you guys want to do? Let's go check out the town car real quick. I'm already walking away from the Toyota to go to the town car. Let's go to the town car first. That was... yeah. Want to see engine graveyards? This was a brand new V10 that they had installed, but the independent shop that installed it into one of those like construction truck, work trucks, landscaping trucks, when they installed it, they put the new engine and stuff in, but they never put a new intake manifold on. They reused the old intake manifold, and there was some metal debris in the intake manifold, and it destroyed the brand new engine. The town car has 231,000 miles and it runs like a rape tape. It's like brand new. There's nothing wrong with this car at all. It just runs flawless. Not a single leak on it. There's nothing, not a single thing doesn't work on this car. It just runs great. Let's hook this up real quick. But now the company wants to try to haggle with the people that put the engine together. They ain't gonna get anything out of it. What's up, Justin? Let me unplug my can shift. A rod. This is that dedicated it's got the Ford option for Ford vehicles only, and it says it does the regen stuff, it does like all of the cam reset, it gets into the specific functions of actually working on the Ford platform, where it has a generic OBD function for other vehicles, but it has the specialized stuff to read all the Ford data set under how this handheld is programmed, or whatever the hell it is. I don't know how to explain it. It's whatever they do. Alright, so I'm going to go in and communicate. Identify the vehicle. I wish the tether was longer. That's the downfall, is the tether. It's so small. I mean, it's so short. Identify the vehicle. Immediately pops up and identifies right away. And then you can go through system scan, and then it starts pulling every single module on board. And it'll tell you where all the red marks and stuff are. That it'll say something is up in this module or that module or whatever it may be. Rear air suspension, RCM. So it says my ABS module is okay, there's no codes. My driver door module is okay, there's no codes. Electronic automatic temperature control. I can go in that module specifically and say read false. And it says invalid ACT temperature and then invalid vehicle speed data. That's because it's all programmed. As soon as I messed with the computer and put the 93 octane tune in, and then started messing with shift points and um, like line pressure and stuff like that, I increased the line pressure by 15%. There's some things that they're not right anymore. They don't set a check engine light or anything, and the vehicle doesn't overheat. It's not out of calibration with speed because it's right on GPS speed. So I just, if a light's not popping up and the vehicle's not running bad and I'm not getting poor fuel mileage, send it. I ain't worried about it. So you can go in each module individually without seeing everything flooding the screen, and you can see specifically what each one is. Let's go to the other one, parking aid module. Read fault. Battery voltage high. Since I've bought this car, no matter if it's perfect or not, for some reason a battery voltage high code pops up from time to time. And remember, we had this conversation about alternators and the charging system for like the mid 2000 vehicles. 2005, 2006, 2007 were horrendous with everything. And I'm constantly between 14.1 and 14.3 charging volts all the time. Load test the wires, voltage drop, do all this other stuff, check everything out. Everything is perfect. The vehicle keeps charging, keeps running fine, but yet it'll still set a battery voltage high code. Guess what alternator I have in the vehicle? A Napa alternator. Put an AutoZone one in here, same code comes back. Put a Ford one in here, same code comes back. Doesn't matter, it just doesn't disappear. It's always here. Doesn't set a check engine light, but it's always some kind of active code in the system. So let's see if I can do anything specific, like test-wise. Special functions. ABS service bleed. Clear trans adaptive strategy. Reset keep alive memory in the PCM. Okay, alright. This vehicle doesn't have a lot to do anyway. This vehicle is a very basic. The town cars, they don't have a lot of stuff on board, or any of the Banter platform cars to really mess with. I mean, it's a one and done type ETC reset. So engine throttle, or let me see here, ETC reset. Communicating with the vehicle, 4.6 town car. Resetting cam will clear learned values. The PCM has stored the adaptive for adaptive systems such as idle and fuel. Do you wish to continue? Sure, why not? Let's do it. It says this is not a service to perform on this vehicle. It doesn't have the capability of doing it. Please start the engine for battery check. Okay. Gives me a readout. It'll show me my voltage when I started to when I cranked it up. And it'll show current voltage. It says I had it says I went from 11.91 volts down to 9.25 volts on startup. No, from 12.8 down to 9.25. So it's drawing 3.5 volts on startup. Or 3.3 volts on startup. No, 3.5. 3.6. 3.62 volts on startup is what it's drawing. Or what it's dropping. So if I hit OK, I can do my oil reset from here. Communicating with the vehicle. OK. Function is, so it's saying the function from here through the handheld is not supported. Let me shut it off. Oh, the town car, it's nice. You guys really want to hear it? Yeah, I like it. I like the Roush setup on it. Yeah, please find my house. Considering the fact that I'm at like 4 houses throughout the week. Mufflers? No. It's catback all the way, not just mufflers. And then next week I'm ordering the Stainless Works long tubes. So next week will be Stainless Work long tubes, and then I think when I hit 50,000 subscribers, I'm gonna buy the Vortec S trim drop-in. No, just an S trim. If I had to race Cletus, I'd have to pull the motor, I'd have to pull the internals, I'd have to put a decent set of or a decent rotating assembly in it to handle the amount of boost. Let me see if I can find anything else that's available in this thing or this car. This car, again, it doesn't have a lot of. You got to go to like. We need to hook up to a diesel is what we need to do. We need to go see if we can actually hook up and get into like the regen stuff like it says. Unless this thing still has to be updated, because I didn't update it. I took it right out of the box and here we are. Any tips for new auto techs? Harbor Freight is your friend when you first start. You don't stay off the tool trucks to begin with. You'll run yourself into debt early. We have a couple young guys that thought they would try to be cool and buy tools like everybody else, and they didn't realize how expensive it was. And they literally have several $1,000s worth of tools that they don't even use in quick lane. They don't even use as a new tech coming into the field and trying to. It's stuff that they don't even touch. And a lot of it, they've got this chrome addiction to where it's kind of put them in a bind. They've invested a lot of money in stuff that they don't even use. They don't even have a need for right now. I guess if you buy it now, you don't need it later. But some of them struggle now because they can't stay off the truck. They can't. They think a big fancy, pry tool or something from Snap-on is something that they're going to need in quick lane or like as a beginner tech. You know what? It might help them. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's not. And to each their own. But me personally, the best advice that I can give you is invest in impact sockets, and invest in extractor type sockets. Decent screwdrivers. They don't have to be Snap-on or Matco or Mac. Those are nice. They're the best in the business, but Cobalt is fine. Husky's fine. A good set of the Icon screwdrivers are just almost like the Snap-on ones at Harbor Freight. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. And get what you need. Don't buy stuff just because you see other people have it or you get this chrome addiction or something like that. Just get what you need. And learn as much as you possibly can. Don't ever, somebody asks you for help, if you can help them and you're not in the bind to where your service writer or your manager or anybody's like, hey, what are you doing? I told you to do something. If you've got downtime and you're twiddling around playing on your phone and something, you know, something to that extent, and you just don't have anything to do and you see a tech across the shop that may need a hand, or maybe he doesn't need a hand, go up to him and say, hey, is there anything I can do for you? Maybe I can learn something from you while I'm here. Don't stand there and bug the hell out of him if he's in something deep, but just go say, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, can I help you with something? I want to learn. Or do you need help? You learn so much by doing that. You know, I used to go up to the techs and I used to be like, hey, can I rotate the tires for you? Can I do something? A lot of times they'd be like, hell yeah, you can. Go ahead, do it. I ain't got to do it then. And then you earn their trust by talking to them, and they see you want to work and that you're a go-getter, and they stuff into you, and you're one of those that typically, if you do that type of stuff, you end up moving up fairly quick. The techs in the shop are typically what end up dictating whether or not a quick lane guy or a semi-skill or somebody else coming in is going to move up, because our managers and stuff like that will come out to us and say, hey, what do you think about, you know, Charles? Is he putting in the work? Do you think that he's ready to be moved up? Has he reached out to you and tried to help you with anything? Do you see him going out of his way? And they rely on that type of stuff. They ask us for our opinion on how they're working and are they worth moving into a different position. And our word is golden. Yeah, coming out of like tech school and stuff like that, you know, they'll give them like a stipend of $600 or something to that extent. Or you might be able to find like a $5,000 or $6,000 toolbox on a student discount for like, you know, $3,800 or $4,000. You know, you do get some decent discounts coming out of tech school and stuff. But as a beginner tech, just try to be as hungry as you possibly can, and don't try to just, you know, go in and like try to outperform people in a what would you call it, in a show-off type mentality. If you're going to outperform people, be naturally good at something and learning and being more efficient, and let that speak for itself in outperforming people. Don't just make it a point to just try to make it seem like you're better than everybody. What? If you're a new tech, stay away from Chrysler, new Fords, and definitely don't do any 3.0 Eco Diesel. I can't police everybody. What's up, Cody? And know how to say, if you feel like you're being abused, and if you feel like somebody's pushing you too hard, if you feel like somebody is trying to overwork you or take advantage of you, don't be afraid to speak up either. Say, hey, you know what? I'm here from, you know, 7 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or from 8 to 5. I feel comfortable doing this, this, and this. If I don't feel comfortable doing that, teach me, but don't throw me into something that you're going to get me in trouble on if I don't know what I'm doing. If you don't feel comfortable about something, speak up and say you don't feel comfortable about something. But the number one pet peeve I have is if I see you down and you're playing on your phone, I'm trying to keep up with the comments. If I see one of them down and they're playing on their phone or something like that, I I try to say, you know what, you want me to give you something to be busy? If there's nothing to be busy, then you got to do what you got to do to get through your workday, right? But if you're just sitting there playing on your phone and there's other stuff to be done and people may need some help, I may pop up and say, hey, can you run out there and grab that squad car for me and bring it in? I see you're not doing anything. No big deal. But, you know, I need some help. Go out there and grab the squad car and bring it in, get the computer hooked up for me, and go ahead and log in to FDRS and run codes, and I'll come over and look at everything, and then we'll move from there. And a lot of times, some of the younger guys or the entry-level techs will stand around and they're like, okay, show me where you go from here. Sure, I'd love to do that. And then you teach them. Okay, so now we're seeing that we have an Evap code. Well, these cars are notorious for Evap issues. There's no other correlating codes that go along with it, and it's a purge valve type concern typically. Let's go ahead, make sure our fuel cap's good, or maybe it's a capless system. Make sure go get the fuel funnel, rod the door a few times, make sure it closes all the way, inspect, make sure there's no cracks around the filler neck and stuff like that. Let's make sure our connections at our purge valve and stuff is good, everything's plugged in. If everything's plugged in and we're between like a 1/4 and 3/4 tank of fuel, let's go ahead and actually run an evap test and see the process that it goes through, and actually watch the screen. It will actually tell you exactly what it's doing right on the screen. You can learn a lot just from watching that computer go back and forth and do its tests. And so many young guys have hung around with me and just watched what I went through and how I was explaining things, and see how this is open and that's closed, and now all of a sudden that's closed and that's open. What it's doing is it's trying to see if it can pull vacuum on the tank, and then it'll close that, and then it'll release the vent. It's trying to see if that vacuum is released. So is the vent valve bad? Is the purge valve bad? Typically it's the purge valve 99.9% of the time. If I can't get a reading and I cannot figure out exactly where the problem is, I'll grab a smoke machine. I'll either use the test board, or I'll make my own. Maybe I have to pull the line going from the purge valve back or something like that, and command something open or closed to see where things are leaking out. A lot of times, we just had a Toyota in here and a Nissan in here, where both of them over the last couple weeks were leaking right at the evap canister. One of them, where one of the hoses went onto the canister, was cracked around the nipple. You could see the smoke coming out. And then the Nissan, where the vent valve would plug into the actual evap the charcoal canister, it wouldn't seat inside properly. The grommet that was around the vent valve was no good, and we couldn't get another grommet, so we just ordered a new kit. And that's how we got it to stop leaking. So I like that. Selling 961, best advice for new techs: pay cash for tools and don't make payments. You'll have much easier time figuring out what you really want or need. $20 a week sounds cheap, but $700 impact wrenches don't. That's right. That $20, that $700 impact that you're paying $20 a week for ends up being $1,100 by the time it's all said and done. So be very, very careful. Well, we need a more advanced vehicle than this, and unfortunately everybody's home, or everybody left for the night. I'm still here, and the porters are here at the dealership. What else do we got before we get off of here? Because okay. Now let's talk about this. I'd like to see an 89. Well, we've been in talks about that. One of the managers here actually does have like an 89 or a 90 edition. He actually had it delivered, I think it was a couple years ago or something like that. And as soon as the car was delivered, they had the motor pulled immediately, the trans pulled immediately, and he went through and he had everything shaved and finished off inside the engine bay, so it's all smooth and solid and painted now. And I mean, they want to go all out with this thing. They want this thing to be like pristine showroom, like it should never even be driven kind of thing. So he has one. It's all redone already. All the body and everything's done. He's got to get the motor and trans built and stuff for it now. Okay, so I have an 06 Power Stroke with an alarm going off with no lights. I've checked everything. Okay, alarm going off with no lights. How many keys do you have? Does that have like a PAT style system or something like that? Does it have like a chipped key where maybe you can go in and reset everything and reprogram everything? I don't. It's been so long since I've worked on those, and I never really worked on any of the security stuff anyway, if there was.
So 2, have you stripped the keys down and reprogrammed the 2 keys? Could be, yep, like Cody said, could be a door switch. What else could it be? You know, I have bad experiences with gem modules and stuff from the earlier years, the security modules on those things, so I'm probably not the one to actually give the best advice on them, because to me, the early 2000s to mid to late 2000s, Ford did some things I didn't like. One of them was the whole gem module. I don't know how many of them I had to go through and replace in the old Econolines and stuff like that. It was module after module after module after module, and they're trash. They're not a good module. They were not designed very good. All of these are really good recommendations. But if the key's off, well, you know, that's another topic we can get into as well. You know, if it was at Ford and it wasn't if it wasn't having a problem when it was at the dealership and now you own it, it's kind of hard to say, you know. On idle and drive, I would I don't know. I'm thinking if it's doing it while it's driving and you have 2 programmed keys, I don't necessarily think it's a door switch or anything. I think it's something to do with like the gem module or something to that extent. It sounds like a module faulty to me, and I'm not just saying that just to say it. I could be wrong. I mean, I've been wrong plenty of times before in my life. I don't have the answers to everything, and oftentimes I'll admit I don't know, but I'll look into it. I'll try to help you out the best I can. It sounds like a gem module to me. It sounds like you've got some kind of faulty security module in that. They were not good modules at all. I remember when I was a fleet mechanic, we would replace a gem module, everything programmed, everything good. 6 months later, after daily abuse over and over and over again, all of a sudden we have relays inside the module or something like that going on, and they're already faulty and they can't be replaced. I mean, you can take them apart and try to repair stuff, but literally they're throwaway modules. They're garbage. Front shocks of my 98 40 250 van. Kick my ass. I don't know how you keep it. I mean, I have a you know, the suspension sags for me, so it's easy. I just put on the lift, everything sags. I just rip them out of there and put new ones in, and I'm good to go. So it's a lot harder for you on the ground. I mean, I did do the ones on the ground in the Dodge. They were easy. They weren't. I don't think they fought me. I think the hardest part on the rear was the rear shocks on my Dodge, because the bolts in the upper portion of where it, not the bolt, was it the bolt, the lower bolt, or the upper? I don't freaking remember now. I think it was one of the bolts that go through into the frame where it's got that big honking chunk of metal with a threaded stud through it. I had to heat the living piss out of those things to get it out. What's going on, Jigsaw? I mean, to me, it sounds like a gem module. I'm just telling you right now. If you're telling me the key's in, the security system passed everything, you're starting up the vehicle, there's no light flashing or anything like that, there's no security light flashing, sounds to me like you got a faulty gem module. Hey, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that, man. I don't know. We're going to run this with some newer vehicles, and we'll see what it does this week before I, you know, get too excited and talk about it. But I do like it. I do like the fact that it's robust as it is. I can get in and do the things I need to do, and it identifies the vehicle super fast. and it's not inexpensive. Even full price, I think this thing's only like $130. But you know they're going to give us the Amazon discount, and they're probably going to give us even more off. And so I'm excited to have it. So it's super easy to just hook up and go. I probably need to try to update it, make sure it's to its latest update. 17150 27 front cover reseal. Low oil pressure light came on. Seal damaged internally. Rough idle. Now no check engine light. Dealer kept 45 days. Not sure what really happened. Well, I mean, a lot of parts are on back order. Can't get parts right away. I'm thinking probably something happened with the install. Who knows? I mean, it could be anything. You're never going to get that answer. I mean, I literally just got done with a 2020 Police Explorer yesterday. I put the video up. I put the auxiliary pump in. The PTS says start with about 5 quarts of fluid because it's basically like a pan drop and filter drop, except you are losing a little bit more. I expected to add. I ended up adding about 7.5 quarts of ULV. Cycled the key. The auxiliary pump turned on immediately. I knew I had good connections in the pump. I could hear it pulling fluid, bled the air and stuff out of it. Go on my test drive, and I didn't make it 8 miles before the maintenance light came right back on again. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me, man? I put the sensor in it. I did what, escalated hotline told me to do. I put the auxiliary pump in it. Me and him are communicating back and forth. And he says, unfortunately, at this point, it sounds like you are going to need a transmission. There's something in between where that pump creates the pressure and where the sensor's reading and the unit that it feeds that it doesn't like. And we're never going to probably be able to get into this. You can't tear down to every single component in passage unless you're shaving the trans in half in certain areas, and it's just not feasible. It's too much labor involved at that point. And he says, just go ahead and do your final tests. So what I did was I brought the vehicle in the shop. I got into FDRS. I went into my data logger. I pulled up my command from my auxiliary pump and my actual monitor to see what was going on. And I could see the pump was turning on. It was operating. I was listening to it. It's actually functioning. The unit's driving very, very good. There's no issue there at all. The hybrid system's kicking on and in and out like it's supposed to. No problem at all. I don't understand why it's triggering this maintenance light if everything seems to be functioning fine. And I get back to the shop. I'm like, hey, what are we doing with this trans? Are we gonna, what are we looking? Oh, back order. No ETA. Are you freaking kidding me, man? Everything that I go to touch is like back order, no ETA, back order, no ETA. People are coming in for like cam phaser jobs and stuff like that, and we run out of the phasers and stuff and the parts to get the stuff done, and it's like a week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks or 4 weeks to wait. I mean, it's a huge problem right now, and it's not only the dealerships, even some of the parts stores you call up. Like, I just got that Napa alternator the other night for that Shelby GT500, and the one that was dropped, and we had to open the case up and stuff and clean some stuff up and put it all back together. Even them, they're like, we have one of those alternators. As popular as that alternator is, we have one of those alternators on the shelf, and the other one we can get is out of like Jackson, Mississippi, and we won't be able to have it until next week. It's not just a dealership parts thing, it's everywhere. The people that are supplying the companies with coffee supplies and napkins, and the guy that comes in here and gives us our nuts and bolts and our cleaning chemicals and stuff like that, he said the same thing. I cannot even get enough supplies to give you guys what I typically would give you, so I have to thin everything out because I service so many different dealerships. I can't keep everything stocked like you would think. Speaking of check engine lights, I did what people should not do. Assume parts are defective without a smoke test for a P0441 code. Granted, they needed replacing anyway, such as the charcoal canister and Evap solenoid. I mean, you got to verify, right? I did. Oh, you said I did what people should not do. Assume parts are defective. Well, you got lucky. You assumed. You shouldn't have done it, but you ended up being right to begin with. Hey, the vehicle got fixed, bruh. It is what it is. I mean, it's a huge thing right now. We need to we need to bring a lot of that manufacturing and stuff back to the United States. It seemed like we had such a more positive um, outcome with longevity, the availability, jobs. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with that. At 1,000, 100,000 subs, will you give the town car away to a subscriber? Hell no. You ain't getting my town car. No way. No way. I ain't doing that. I'm going to run this car until this car doesn't run anymore. I'll never, ever get rid of this car. I've had people offer me $6,000, $7,000, and this car, you guys see the daily life of this car. Anytime I do something, anytime the oil's changed, anytime there's a repair that needs to be done, it's on this channel. So this car is probably documented better than any vehicle that I've ever seen. If any car would go for big money, it should be this car. People see every single component has been gone through, everything's been resealed, everything's been painted. It's not perfect. It does have its little scratches and stuff like that, but everybody on this channel should have seen this car enough to know I could go buy that car from him right now and leave New York and go straight to California with not a single breakdown. This car has no oil loss. This car has no compression loss. It's just immaculate. I've had guys offer me $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. No, I'm not selling this car. If I stole this car, it would be for a hell of a lot more than that, just because of what this car is. It's the feature car of this channel. There's no way. Ever install kicker audio upgrade in 2021 F-150? I programmed with FDRS and the subwoofer volume is way too loud. Kicker says FDRS is installing the EQ file correctly. Is since installing, okay. Local shops are saying it's a common problem with a Ford accessory kicker kit. Well, I mean, not a kicker kit, but I installed, what is that, JBL pill on that 2020 Bronco of ours. The Sasquatch package that we have, and it mounts right at that rear bar, and you have to go through FDRS to activate everything. And I didn't quite, I like the fact that you got music and stuff kind of surround all over the place, but honestly I didn't feel like the quality of that sound system with that unit was any better than just the sound that was coming out of the vehicle to begin with. There was no real upgrade. There was no real increase in presence of music that I would feel like, wow, this is awesome. I would probably buy that, install it, and then think, I just wasted money. I don't really notice a difference. Just louder. No. This is a, what is your... Trying to look at your icon. The red and black icon, trying to figure out what it is. Can't see it. Anyway, no, it's a town car. I think cold air intakes can be good. I think unless they're being tuned, it's I'm on the fence about it. You know, I went through Universal Technical Institute where they actually have a hot rod program. They have the initial site of building, and then once you learn how to build and adjust valves and stuff in old Chevy and Ford motors and stuff like that, we built a little, like a T-bucket Ford or something like that, where we dropped a small block 350 in it, and we had to go through and adjust the valves, and we had to learn like the little tasteful upgrades and stuff, what makes power and what doesn't make power. And then the second portion to that class is going to a whole different classroom with a slew of different cars, and you go down and you actually look and see, here's a Camaro SS, here's a Firebird with the original like 5.7 liter 350 in it. The different, what is that? The original version of the LS1, but it had the 5.7 liters. I think it was only like 2 years. The Firebird or Firehawk or something like that. They had one of those, and they had a GTO with a 6 liter in it, and there was like so many different vehicles, right? And I wanted the Camaro SS. That was the first year for the 6.2 liter, and I was like, that's the one I gotta have. So I told my group, and I was like, look, we gotta fight for that Camaro right there. I don't care. We gotta get that Camaro. That's gonna make more power than any of them. So we actually ran to the Camaro when they said, go pick your car. And my group, we stood around the Camaro. It was a manual, 6.2 liter, had like 2,000 miles on the car. Like it was a donation to the school. And the first mod that we did was a cold air intake. First, you have to run it stock. You go run it stock on the dyno, and it made like, let's just say like 360 wheel horsepower and like 390 foot-pounds of torque or something like that. It wasn't what was rated like crank horsepower. We actually got to see wheel horsepower. And we brought the car back to the bay, and you get your first mod. The first mod would have been like a cold air intake, or do you want to do exhaust? So we chose, let's do the cold air intake. So we put the K&N full enclosed like stage 3 type cold air intake on it, and we picked up like 6 horsepower and about 5 foot-pounds of torque. And then we have to bring the car back off the dyno, and you take everything off, you put it back to stock. And then they say, okay, here's a $1,200 like full racing exhaust for this car. Install it. Let's see what we get. So we go take it over to the dyno. No horsepower gain, no nothing with the exhaust at all. It just sounded more aggressive, but it actually didn't increase flow or anything, because the Camaro SS exhaust is pretty free flowing as it is. There's no real restriction there. So we made nothing on that. And then, bring it back, put it in stall. The next thing they do is say, okay, we're going to get a like $150 throttle body spacer. And then you pull everything apart, you install the throttle body spacer, and it's got like those kind of vortex vanes, but it's not a cheap style like Chinese eBay one. It was actually a name brand racing throttle body spacer that was like a really nice billet design. I forget what it is now. And we ended up picking up like 9 horsepower and 3 or 4 foot-pounds of torque. And I say, okay, now pull that off. So we pull that off, and the whole theory behind that is now you're creating this extra turbulence with air coming in, and that turbulence in the air moving through that vortex type design, it's maybe helping mix fuel better, things of this nature. You're actually increasing plenum volume just a little bit, so there's actually more available volume of air ready to be used if needed. So this is the theory behind it. Now, regardless if people believe it or not, it doesn't matter. I seen the numbers. I mean, we were there. And maybe on a bigger, liter motor, a bigger bore motor, you can see those gains instead of something so small. Maybe that's why I got to see those numbers on a 6.2 liter versus some guy with a 1.6 liter Ford Escape trying to do it, and he's seeing no increase because there's no rotating mass, there's no displacement to really, take like the full effect of the power adders. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking wrong here. Who knows? But it worked. And then they bring it back and they say, okay, now take that off, and we're gonna give you a fogger setup, like a 100-shot throttle body plate, and you get to the point where you get to see what each one of these mods do. And then at the end of it, they say, now we're going to take everything and we're going to put it all together. And we're going to do a throttle body plate with the fogger system, the throttle body spacer, the cold air intake, the full exhaust system, and we're going to go run it. It was my turn that day with all the mods to run the car on the dyno. That Camaro with 100-shot, all the add-ons, the exhaust and stuff, made like 530 horsepower and right at like 550, 540 foot-pounds of torque. That sucker woke up. When you put all this stuff together, it made a huge difference. So a lot of people were like, I'm skeptical of this, I'm skeptical of that, I don't think this is going to work or that's going to work. Once you start playing with this stuff and you realize how it works together, how maybe one may not work, But once you start adding all that stuff together and then you put the exhaust on, now you need the larger, more free-flowing exhaust. And now you can actually, you're increasing what's going in, and you can actually utilize a bigger, freer flowing exhaust system to get stuff out. So people, their whole mindset, they tune things off so quick, especially on the internet when we're talking about modifications and stuff on here. And you bring something up and they're like, well, that ain't gonna work, you're wasting your money, you're such an idiot, you're this and you're that and you're everything else. And then you're thinking to yourself, man, what's wrong with this guy? You know, this guy never played with things in his life. In winter, your engine needs more gas. When cold, yeah, because the fuel is more dense, or the air is more dense. So you're pulling more oxygen and you got to add more fuel. (2019) F-150 5.0, and I'm learning what sounds like, I'm hearing what sounds like marbles in the engine under acceleration. What is going on? I'd like to have the sound clip or a video of that. So if you have that and you could share the link, that would be great. That could help out a lot. Sounding like marbles is a new one for me. What would sound like marbles to me? Under acceleration, valve clatter, like a ignition timing, some kind of issue like that. Maybe if like a lot of bad fuel, or like timing can't keep up, or something's breaking down in the ignition. It sound like chattery valves or something. Indy, go Cowboy 1. Going in Thursday to Janesville Ford dealer for the latest cam phaser update on my 17 F-150. If this doesn't help, I'm going to drive 3 hours to Dundee to see you. Okay. Come on with it, man. Come on with it. We got one in here right now. I'm so booked up with some of the stuff that I was doing, but we're really good. Like all the guys at the shop, they're really good with the cam phaser stuff. Just the technicians in general, and even the trans guy that mainly does trans stuff, he started doing more of the phasers recently as well, because it got real hot there for a little bit, and we don't ever see people come back. I think there was one instance like 10,000-15,000 miles later where we had to go back in and redo the phasers again, but after inspection, the technician found that it was a old style phaser instead of the new updated one, which they said that that's always a possibility. They try not to have that issue happen, but now there's a way that you can inspect them and stuff, and it's been a while. Airplane Freak said, I don't know if you've seen the comment yet, but I appreciate your channel very much and my feed on clearing up misconceptions of dealerships and their techs. You know, there's a lot of good techs out there, man. Most of the techs that I know in the field are good techs. They are really, really, really good techs, and they really care about people. I've only met a handful of shit techs in my life that just don't care, and they're all about making money, and that's it, and they don't care about any. Most of the technicians that I've known or met in the field, they're good guys, and they don't want to screw people over. It's not the technicians at all that really taint the dealership life. It's how corporate deals with the matters that are going on, and how they put so much pressure on the dealerships, and then the dealerships have to operate within a specific set of guidelines on the management side, on the service writer side. They know what has to be done. They know what's going to get sent back. They know what's going to get flagged for review or something like that. They know what they can and can't get away with, because the manufacturers won't let us do certain things to actually figure out problems or fix problems, or just lay blame on them when we know something is at fault. They won't let us do that, and we get a bad name. The dealerships get a bad name because of the business, and I hate to say it, but that's the life. It is what it is. That is the life. That's the life we have to deal with. So You'll find technicians in dealerships that they'll find ways to do the right thing. They will find ways to take care of their customers, even if it's close to pushing the limit of them losing their job. They know what to do, and that's what I practice on this channel. We try to take care of every single person that comes through the door. So A-Rod sent somebody by here today to see me, and I spent about an hour with him this morning looking over his truck and kind of like trying to figure out what this noise is. I was able to confirm that there was a noise, and he drove an hour to see me, and I wanted to take care of him. I didn't charge him anything for that. I could have took his VIN number and his name and everything else and wrote up an RO and no problem found, got paid something. But I wanted to spend some time with him and build some kind of relationship with him to show him that I actually care about what's going on with him. And I'm going to try to get him taken care of, even if that means multiple sessions of him coming back for me to try to figure out where this problem is coming from. I mean, we do that type of stuff all the time, but we get a bad rep because of the customer experience on the front end of the dealership. And it's not because of the front end of the dealership that it's going on. It's because of the front end of the dealership and the customer. They build this bad relationship with each other because of how the manufacturers and these corporations control exactly how we take care of problems. They won't let us take care of problems the way we see fit. It's their guidelines or it's the highway. That's how it works. Appreciate that, Banshee the Raptor. Have you tried putting it in sport mode though? Some guys say they get that ignition knocking clattery sound, but when they put the vehicle in sport mode, a lot of their problems disappear. It's like they don't have the issues that they normally have. Rails Forge Drive. All right, hey man, maybe I'll jump on there with you or something one time. I appreciate you. That's what I was thinking. 961. That's what I was thinking. It sounds like pinging or some kind of clattery sound from pinging, like fuel or I don't know if maybe it's losing compression. I don't know if anybody's run a compression test on it. Maybe it's fuel with too much ethanol in it. I don't know. Well, I've already done a couple VCT solenoids on the 5 liters because on acceleration it'll be fine. When you decel, you'll get into it and it'll be whoa, and then on decel when you let off it'll go grrr, 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 and it'll be this faint rattle coming from the VCT solenoid. And if you put a stethoscope on and you have somebody just brake torque it a little bit, or even at idle sometimes, and just step on the gas and let go, you'll hear, most of the time it's the exhaust solenoid, it'll rattle on decel when you come out of the throttle, and that's not normal. It should be able to control it and sustain a sufficient open and close or control without rattling. You know, in one way you can see is on the passenger side it doesn't do it, but on the driver's side it does rattle. And there was a TSB on this specific concern for like one or 2 years, but I seen a 2020 doing it as well that the TSB didn't cover. I went ahead and still covered it for the customer anyway. VCT rattle on decel, or VCT solenoid rattle on decel. And sure enough, I put the new solenoid and stuff in it, got everything nice and secured and tightened up, drove the vehicle, and did not do that anymore. Well, Doug, it sounds like you're going to have that thing really looked into, like there's something seriously internally going on by what you're saying. So hopefully the dealership that you work with is really going to work with you. It's going to actually they're going to actually do something for you, and look into it. Depending on workload right now, there's a lot of we're having to tell a lot of people like, look, we got so many bigger jobs going on right now. We can't fit a lot of the other jobs in between the stuff that we already have to take care of. So I've heard of a lot of dealerships booked 4, 5, 6 weeks out, some of them a couple months, based on what they're dealing with. So even Bob, the main moderator of the channel here, there he is. Um, you know, I wanted to make sure he was taken care of when he came to have me work on his vehicle today, and I thought for sure he'd be able to get a loaner, but we just don't have anything. Uh, the vehicles are out all the time. We're strapped for time and stuff right now. We're dealing with problems. The guy came in today, and he was under the impression that his 17 Fusion. Bob seen me working on it too. I was frantic. I was sweating, sweat coming down my face and stuff like that. And I'm trying to make this old man. He's a vet, happy, but he thought when he came into the dealership, his parking sensor, his proximity sensor for his parking aid, it was pushed in, and he thought for sure that it was going to get covered, like he would be able to get it fixed. Well, how are you going to get something fixed that's literally broken like that? Like the tabs that hold the sensor in the hole were broke off with the sensor. It's not covered under warranty. The warranty's already expired. There's an aftermarket warranty. The aftermarket warranty is not going to put another $900 bumper on your car for you. You want to come out of pocket $900 for a new bumper just to put one little sensor in, and then have to pay $400 or $500 to have it painted and everything else, and then a couple hours to remove it and install everything? I just was straight with the old man. I said, look, let me pull the corner of the bumper back, let me sand everything down real good and clean everything, and let me epoxy that back to it so it's fixed there permanently, and it'll save you $1,200, $1,300. I was exhausted this morning. I was wore out because I'm trying to save this man $1,200, $1,300, only charge him an hour of labor to do this, but at the same time, A-Rod sent his guy by for me to check out his truck and his sound, so I'm trying to get that done. I'm trying to work with this old man and get him taken care of, so he's not, spending $1,200, $1,300 for an hour repair. It didn't make any sense. And then I still needed to get to Bob, and then there was another vehicle right after that. So like I've got 5 or 6 jobs sitting here that I got to get to in one day, and there's more customers coming in, more customers coming in, more customers coming in, and it's like you're a clown trying to balance everything at one time. People don't understand that dealership life is not like most businesses, that you can actually schedule and you can make things, you can get a day with minimal stress planned out properly. It doesn't work that way in dealership life. It does not work that way at all. There could be somebody that comes in an emergency right now that has to be taken care of, and a lot of times you'll get pulled off a job just so you can take care of that. And then it becomes, what's priority now? If you had a job that just came in 2 days ago and something happened, something screwed up, or it's a safety issue, you have to push things apart and move that customer in, or get another tech involved because the tech that it's supposed to go to, he can't get to it. Somebody calls off sick. We just had one guy, he got real sick and thought he had COVID. He ended up going to the hospital for 2 or 3 days. It wasn't COVID at all. He was just sick. We lost him. He went down. Another guy went on vacation. Another guy goes on vacation. A lot of these people haven't done anything for themselves for a long time because of this whole COVID thing, and then parts not being here, and then they can't get their work out in time, and then everything gets backed up. So when they do get time to take off or not be here, or just simply call off because they're just too damn stressed and they're trying to recover, you have to worry about you at the end of the day. It's a weird time right now. It really is. You know how many days I wake up and I'm like, I really love my job, but do I want to get cussed out by a customer today? Do I want to get into an argument with the parts manager? Do I want to not be on my boss's good side today? Do I want to get into a screaming match with a service writer? Or I really don't want to go work on this Explorer that's been haunting me for the last 5 months that I never get anywhere. Eventually you look at things and you're like, I love my job and I love what I do, but I don't love all the stuff that comes along with it. It is part of the package, that's for sure. I love making people happy. I love fixing their vehicles. I love seeing them light up with uh, this happiness from being able to feel secure getting in their vehicle and taking off. But then there's like all the other little things that go along with it. And it's like, fuck, man, I just wish I could hang everything up and just walk away sometimes. It's that you have those moments where you're just like, man, I just want to throw everything. I just want to go crawl up in a ball at home and just not have to deal with anybody right now. Hey, we have those moments a lot. People, I heard somebody say the other day, these technicians must be getting paid a lot of money. You think my $40 an hour is a lot of money? You think my $40 an hour is a lot of money when you can't book 40 or 50 hours a week? That ain't a lot of money. You got to be able to get parts to do the job. And people have to have money to pay for the job getting done. You just and then we have to dump $20,000 and $30,000 back into tools, and everybody in your family knows you're a mechanic. You got to take care of not only the cars that come into the dealership, but your personal vehicles, and then your family's vehicles and your friends' vehicles. At some point, you have to put your hands up and say, okay, I'm done. I'm just doing the minimum. I'm going to go to work on the cars at home. I'm going to keep my shit together, and I'm done. I'm not working on nobody else's stuff. We had a guy here that retired, and mid-60s, been doing this for 40, 45, 46 years. And when he left, he said, you want to buy any of my tools? And I said, well, hell yeah, I want to buy a lot of your tools. And he said, all right, so what do you want? I said, well, I want that hub tamer. I want that ball joint press. I want all this stuff. I want all of your electrical tools and stuff. I want all your leads. I want your fluke meter. He's got like this $800 or $900 fluke meter that he sold me for like $300. It's like the master kit that not only has, it's not just the fluke meter, it has a frequency readout that you can actually touch the items to figure out where sounds and stuff are coming from. It has a thermal readout connection for the meter. It's got all this stuff, and I was like, man, this is going to be expensive. And he ended up selling me everything out the door. It was like $4,000 worth of tools for like $950. He really, really, really did me a solid. Things that I would never, it would take me years to be able to just pick up and buy and pay cash. I had a little money put away, and he was like, so, I'll hook you up. How about, $100 for this, and that's a $300 tool. $50 for this. That's the template that goes on the exhaust manifolds for the 4.6s and the 5.4s, and I think some of the V10s and stuff as well. The actual like Pro Max template kit with all the bits and everything in it. So he sold me that for like $100. It's like a $300 or $400 kit. So he sold me all this stuff, and I says, so what are you gonna do now? Are you done? Are you just gonna retire? You're not gonna touch anything else? You're gonna work on your wife's vehicle? And he said, I ain't working on another damn car again. I'm done. I'm not even working on my own car. I've done this for 45 years. I'm not touching a ball joint. I'm not touching a windshield wiper. I'm not touching anything. I'm done. I'm retired. It's going to the oil change place. I'm going to get my oil change while I stand there and watch people. I'm going to let them put my wiper blades and stuff on, regardless if it's the dealership or anything. I ain't touching nothing anymore. He said, I've had it. I'm done. And I was like, oh my God. And he said, no, man, when you've done this as long as I have, there comes a point where your hands can't take it anymore, your knees can't take it anymore, your back can't take it anymore. You're just done with all the complaints and the yelling and screaming and trying to figure out where you're going to get this booked out and that booked out. I'm just done. No more. I'm retired. I'm moving to Florida. And I was like, oh, God, this man's serious, man. He just done. Good guy, but you can tell right there at the end, he just, he was done. Really done. And, there's sometimes I feel like that. Sometimes I have like 3 or 4 weeks straight where it's like nothing but hard, tough, grinding work that's just nasty, and you're covered in oil, and your shit's pouring out of your nose at the end of the day, or you're under these diesels all the time, and you're sneezing stuff, and you're coughing stuff up, and you got chemicals all over your body, and you're on concrete floor every single day, and you just hurt, and you're like, dude, what am I doing, man? I love it, but what am I doing? You know, a lot of guys that are serious, that have been in the field for a long time, they'll tell these younger guys coming up, and this is the honest truth. And if you're honest, and if those of you on here that have been doing this for any amount of time are honest, you've heard this before. Like, you know, the old timers in the shop, the guys that are seasoned, that have been doing this for a long time, will be like, what the hell are you doing, man? You need to just get out of this field and go do something with your life. Don't be a mechanic. I don't know how many times I've heard the old timers tell younger guys, just don't do this, man. Just get out of this and go do something with your life. Don't be a mechanic. So many, like my whole life I've heard that. But then when I started doing it, I was like, man, I can't see myself doing anything else. I love this. I love fixing stuff. I love taking shit apart. I love learning about, you know, computer programming and how to fabricate things and stuff like that. And if I didn't do this, I wouldn't be worth a shit to anybody. I'd just be a caring person, and that would be it. I have a skill that's going to follow me for the rest of my life, man. I don't know that I could have seen myself doing anything else. Yeah, I thought about, you know, I have my own hobby shop now. I like to call it my hobby shop. I do stuff there. I got a couple people on here that bring me their vehicles out there to my shop. I've got a lot of people trying to line stuff up, and I'm like, man, I just can't. I had a guy call me the other day from on here. He was like, Rich, I don't take my trucks to anybody. We have our own mechanics, but I would bring my entire fleet of Ford trucks to you just to have you service them. And I'm not that far from Naperville. And he's like, when are you going to do the whole your own shop thing? You have a whole fleet of trucks here that I will sign a contract with you as a dedicated fleet maintenance or whatever, just to let you know I'm sincere about this. I'll bring my whole fleet of trucks to you. I could keep you busy. And I was like, God. And then you leave the dealership, and then you lose your certifications, and you're just an ASE certified guy at that point, which I get it. There's nothing wrong with that, again. But part of the attraction of people being on this channel is me being able to show them brand new vehicles, brand new repairs, how many independent shops I help, how many other techs out there that are Ford techs, but they're Ford techs in the field that may not get to see stuff that I see every day, guys that are in rigs that are going from to job to job to job because they're mobile mechanics, but they're through Ford on the heavy duty side, that message me and email me, and they're like, dude, thank you for that. That was exactly what I was looking for. I didn't have time to look it up or anything like that. I just jumped on YouTube. I found your video. It was amazing. I just want to say thank you. And I'm actually a Ford tech. I just don't, I'm moving all the time. I don't have time to sit and read the computer and stuff like you do and go through all this stuff. And I'm kind of like living vicariously through you at the dealership and what you do. And it's helping me while I'm out here in the field. And I'm like, you know, you leave doing this, and yeah, you could go have your own shop and make a ton of money, but do you know how many people I'm actually helping right now? You know, back when I first started this, there's a guy on this channel, a couple guys from Florida actually, but one of them was an independent shop owner down there, and he said, my guys love you. Your YouTube's up on the main page. If they have any issue with Ford at all, I just tell them, go to your library and type it in and see if they can find it. You probably already have a video for it. If not, just send him a message. He checks all day. He's going to get back to you right away. And sure enough, his guys do that. Hey, we're working on a 2010 Fusion, and we have an issue with the lower control arm. It's popping. How do you inspect it? Because we can't duplicate the problem. Well, put the vehicle up on a hoist, grab a big crescent wrench or like an 1.25 inch, 1/16, whatever it is that fits it. I got so many different big wrenches, and get up there to them lower control arms, because they're a split lower control arm, and actually put your crescent wrench or something on there and rock that lower control arm back and forth, and feel if you feel binding as you're rocking it. And they're like, oh yeah, there's flat spots in it. Well, that's it. That's how you check it. Well, I would have never thought to do that. I'm, pushing on it and pulling on it. No. You can sometimes get the tap out of it at that point. The best way to actually do it is you can actually feel the wear inside that lower control arm, whether it's the front, I call it the spaghetti arm, or the straight arm. And you can actually put a crescent wrench, a big giant crescent wrench, or find the right wrench and actually twist that lower control arm back and forth, and you'll feel it binding. You'll feel the chunkiness inside it where it's wore out, and just stuff like that, simple stuff to help other guys out there in the field. It's stuff I like doing, man. It's the reason why I continue doing what I'm doing. I had a service manager last week message me, and he said I was having a problem with a F-150, and it was a fleet truck, and I ran across your video with the fleet truck where the the fan was racing on high all the time. Come to find out, it was exactly what you showed in the video. The radiator and the condenser and stuff was all plugged up. And here my guys are with a scanner, and they're checking pressures and all this other stuff, and they were evacuating the system multiple times. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And I'm not calling anybody names. Remember the KISS acronym. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay, fan's high. I still am getting cool AC coming out of the vent. So it seems like the charge is there. Compressor's kicking on, so all that's good. But the fan's racing all the time. Either I have a pressure switch problem or some kind of bias signal going on somewhere, or my pressures are really high in the system and the fan has to race all the time to keep the pressures down so it can save the system from, catastrophic failure. Check and make sure it's getting proper airflow across that AC condenser and the radiator. Make sure they're not plugged up, because if the radiator's plugged up but the AC condenser's not, and the fan's trying to pull air through both systems, it's still going to act like the condenser's plugged up. You don't have a second fan for that, and both of them have to be clear. And he said, I did exactly what you did. I put the little pilot holes right there in the plastic, and I actually marked, so the fleet company knew, use these 2 extra pilot holes on each side of the plastic in front of the AC condenser for cleaning out the radiator. And we rotted it, cleaned it all out, washed it out, rotted it, cleaned it all out. AC system came back, pressures dropped 2 to 2.5 times ambient temperature, and then also taking into consideration humidity, fan stopped racing. It was a win-win. I do that stuff because I get to see it so much. I get to see all the fleet trucks and the cars every single day, and the amount of volume of the same thing coming in over and over again with some little small things mixed in here and there kind of creates a specialist out of somebody. They're able to answer those questions right away. Now, could you go throw me on a Toyota and say, how do you do this? I have an idea, but I'm no specialist. I'm going to be able to go fix that car like, a Toyota tech would that sees the same vehicle every single day. That's why they become specialists. They learn the systems. They learn the wiring colors. They learn, where this is at, how to activate that, where this ground is, that ground is. Somebody messaged me on here the other day and said, hey, I heard you talking about an Econo line, like an early 2000 Econo line that was having an issue starting. I said, yeah. So where's that at? How'd you fix the issue? Well, there's a ground strap over on the passenger side that goes from the frame up to the body. That's one of the main grounds for the fuel pump. And if you're trying to crank it, you might be able to crank it, but it won't start. That ground was split in 2. I just took a big heavy wire, and I actually ran a new ground from the body down to the frame. Vehicle fired up right away. The guy came back and was like, my ground was completely split in 2, and I did exactly what you said. I just took an eyelid, a cheap eyelid, put it on a piece of wire, grounded it out, vehicle started right up. If I didn't work here and see the volume of vehicles that I see, I wouldn't be able to just say, this is what it is, this is what it is, this is what it is like I do. I'd like to have my own garage, but then you lose so much experience being here, dealing with all this new stuff every day, all the certifications and the training. You don't get any of that. Nope. Never worked on any CX-5s. I'm in Illinois. Yeah, that's they only made that Shelby F-250 Baja. They only made was like 20 or 40 of them or something like that. It was like 20 of them. It's a $125,000 truck production, but there's a markup because there's not so many of them. So naturally, you're going to get a markup because of the availability. And it's marked up to like I think 140 or 145. There's just not a lot of them out there. And based on demand, and we've had quite a few people come by lately and look at them, but nobody, $125,000 truck. Who's just going to show up and buy a $125,000 truck? What's a good replacement disc brake pad for motocraft? I mean, any of the premium brake pads I like. I used to tell people I didn't really care for CarQuest brake pads, but anymore, any of the premium or OE rated ones they're decent pads. I mean, I don't know. I get the OEM stuff if I'm gonna if I want a stock pad, I just buy OEM. Or I'll get like the Napa premium ones. I like Napa's pads. Napa for me, Napa rotors and Napa pads on the aftermarket side have been the best setup for me overall. I've had the most success with the Napa premium pads and the Napa premium rotors. I never had any problems with them. What's up, Kelly? How are you? Nope. The new Escapes, we had not a single problem with them, other than one, because it's a fleet vehicle, and it was another one of those deals where they literally drive the living hell out of it. And I want to say the front cover is already leaking, just oil all over the place, front cover. But it's only one out of all the Escapes that we've sold, which we've sold a ton of them. But this vehicle is not even, it's a year old, and I think this thing's already got like 30,000 miles on it in a year. It just nothing but run back and forth across the state. These people are on the road constantly, and the front cover it's on the rack right now, and they're saying the front cover bolts cannot be reused. It's a bolt that gets replaced. So under warranty, you're going to have to replace these bolts, and they don't know where they're getting them from. They're trying to get these front cover bolts for this new 1.5 liter Escape, and they can't find them. Or they're on back order or something like that. They can't even touch them. So this vehicle's been down here for about a week and a half on the rack with everything tore apart, and they thought they would be able to get the bolts, and they can't find them. They can't get them. I don't know what the deal is. '18 F-150 3.5 liter. I'm experiencing extended crank. Fuel pressure at rail is twice as the desired. Any ideas? Twice as desired. Twice as desired and extended crank. I've had, I'm trying to just think out loud here. I've had an issue with the low pressure pump going out and the high pressure pump still being able to pull enough fuel through the system, because it still will suck fuel through the low pressure line or low suction line, and it'll still start and it'll run poorly. But it'll have high pressure. It could have high pressure and it can have low pressure codes together. I've never seen it with just one single code when something like that goes wrong. I'd have to look into that. I mean, if you remind me and send me a message tomorrow when I get to work, just, hey, you said you wanted to check, I can do that for you. I'm at work right now, but I gotta go jump on the computer. I don't know if you can or not. Roush or Raptor? Well, the Roush kits that I've seen so far, they're doing on pretty much all the 5 liters. I've really seen nothing but Roush kits on the 5 liters. A couple times I've seen Roush like intake systems or whatever on like the EcoBoost trucks, or Roush like a Roush induction system or something like that. But never, you either have a Raptor or you have a Roush. The Roush stuff I've all seen is just 5 liter stuff, or customers putting Roush cold air intakes or something on. So I don't know, I can't really say. If you're in the market for a Raptor, you're getting a 3.5 liter EcoBoost motor, and if you're, to me, if you're in the market for Roush stuff, you're running a Coyote engine. So it just, I guess it's all up to you and what you want. I know Roush makes stuff for the EcoBoost stuff as well, or I've seen guys use some of their stuff. But to me, that's just the way I see it. And I would rather run Roush than the EcoBoost stuff anyway, because of, or the Raptor stuff anyway, because of how long it's been around and how long it's been tested. I just like the Roush kits. I like the Roush setup. The stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. It's kind of like a preference thing for me. I love Roush. Are we boring you, Jordan? I don't know very much on the Bully Dog pedal controllers. I've watched the videos and stuff on it, and it seemed to work great based on the videos, but I don't know very much about it. Oh, I know. Rain Man's here. Rain Man Rays Repairs. What's up, buddy? The man, the myth, the legend. His channel's been blowing up lately, guys. Rain Man is in the house. His channel is on fire. I watched your video on that Fusion, too. You had a Fusion that came in and was making a noise. I was going to leave a comment, but I was like, I don't want to step on his toes or whatever. I don't know if somebody will think that I'm trying to correct him, seeing as I am a Ford guy, because I'm not. It was great that you found the repair. That clip missing is a common thing that we get when DIY guys or just people in general don't pay attention to what they're doing, and they won't push the clip in all the way, and it'll fly off on the vehicle or something like that because it's not installed correctly. But a lot of those Fusions, it's not just those clips or whatever. That's a rarity coming into the dealer when we see that. Most of the time, that tappy tap that you're hearing, that you were talking about, the customer was saying the sound coming from the wheel. Most of the time, it's not that caliper at all. Most of the time, it's actually the sway bar links. 99.9% of the time, when you're hearing that sound that you were actually able to duplicate with your hand, which is good that you were able to do that and you verified that. 99.9% of the time, it's the sway bars tapping on those Fusions. I mean, I don't know how many, they come in here all the time. Even recently, when I just showed that Focus ST, same thing. I heard that tap, the same tap that you duplicated with your caliper, and then when you were doing your video, before I even seen what was going on, I was like, I bet you it's going to be sway bar links, and you surprised me when you found out it was a clip missing on the caliper, because I was like, huh? What? Who doesn't install those correctly? But then I was like, yeah, a bunch of DIY guys, they don't realize how hard it can be sometimes if you don't know what you're doing on how to leverage that clip and stuff in there to hold the caliper on. A lot of them will just leave it however, and they'll come off. But the same sound, just like I duplicated on that Focus ST, where I grabbed that sway bar link and I was able to tap it up and down because the ball socket's square. Normally it makes the same sound as that caliper anti-rattle clip being loose. No, you're the man. You're the man. You can't call me the man. You're the man. I might be the woman, but you're the man. It's late, guys. It's late. It's late. So it is, it's not late, but it's late. I'm sitting in the car while we're live because I have absolutely zero life. I shit, eat, and breathe this stuff, guys. This is what I do every single day. If I'm not here working on something, if I'm not trying to help somebody, if I'm not answering questions, I'm sleeping or with the family or trying to get away for the weekend. This is what I do every single day. I got this grease flowing through my blood, man. Flowing through my blood. Nine p.m. there. What is it here? It is 8:04 here. I just wonder how long they're gonna. I wonder how long they're gonna keep dealing with this. All these new car issues from all the man. You see, recently the Toyota guy is the Toyota guy the car care nut? Am I saying his name right? The car care nut. See you, Scott. Thanks for being here, man. Yep, that's true. Work, eat, sleep, family. And stay in debt. Seems like you start doing good for yourself and then you start trying to invest money and put money in other places instead of living. So here I am. Got the YouTube income coming in now, and I'm thinking like, I need better tools. I need a better toolbox for the channel. It's nicer for people to see, with better equipment. I need, you start doing giveaways and buying extra cars for the channel and stuff, and it's like, hell, man, where did all that extra money go that I had? Now it's all gone because I'm buying and trying to invest more and more into the channel. It's $1,200 phone, and at the end of the day, it's like, did you do this stuff for you, or did you try to put back into the channel? Or I try to invest in better tools or nicer tools for the, to be able to do the diagnostic stuff for the channel. But lately I've been splurging a little bit on stuff for, this is the channel car for me, Technically, I love this car, this town car, but it wouldn't be my first choice of vehicle to buy as like my personal hot rod or something car. I just fell in love with this car, and I was like, man, this would be a good YouTube car, and sure as hell it was. All the Panther guys were reaching out to me and stuff, and they're like, hey man, you're a dealer tech and you have a Panther car, let's be friends. And I was like, bet, let's be friends. And I've actually met some really, really, really nice guys in the Panther community. The Town Car guys, the Mercury Grand Marquis guys, the Crown Vic guys. Dudes are super level-headed. I could honestly say, if I picked a group of guys that were the most neutral, sane, but fun guys that just love being around cars and fixing hobby things, it would be the Panther platform guys. They're not trying to outdo each other. They're not trying to talk trash about each other. They're actually talking about meeting up and getting together and helping one another out and doing video collaborations and stuff. Like, low-key, the Panther community guys are probably the most brotherly out of the entire automotive community. This is the scanner here. We talked about it a little bit. We didn't do very much with it. We hooked it up to a few vehicles, my vehicle, a newer cop car with FDRS, just to see what it looks like and stuff. If I'm breaking up, that might mean the battery's going. No, battery's good. The Wi-Fi is good. I don't know. Yeah, I did. I addressed that last night. What the difference is for the... It was really nothing, honestly. I don't even remember exactly what it is. Jeff, I'm not exactly sure. I read it last night, but it didn't seem like there was very much that changed. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at it again. It wasn't anything that really impressed me with it. I didn't learn anything from it. GT40? No. Nope. So even the Toyota guy, the car care nut. Okay, let me step out here. Let me step out here. So, the car care nut. He did a video talking about Toyota oil consumption and the reason why. And you'll get the Toyota fanboys and the Toyota crowd and stuff like that. They talk about, oh, Toyota doesn't do that. Yet you have a dedicated technician that's literally teaching you the ins and outs of Toyotas. And he openly admits they're no saints. They burn oil. They have their faults. Like, people should really listen to that guy and watch his videos. He's very, very good. He's very thorough. He's very educated. Yeah, our owner, the owner wanted to put this up. And everybody drives by the dealership, they honk, they come in, and they love it. A lot of people in the community love it. So we're supporters of everybody, and we love it. No, I'm not starting over. Nope. I'm gonna do some more. Like, when we get a vehicle in here, that I can actually hook up and do some like testing to show how it functions and stuff with the electronic parking brake and all that. I'll definitely do it. I'll try to grab a UCI or something tomorrow, like a used car inspection, and I'll pull it in and I'll do a walkthrough on something that's a few years old that scanner can definitely talk to instead of something that's brand new. This is the lot. That right there is a 5-liter Stage 1 Roush supercharged crew cab F-150, 4-wheel drive, Ford racing rims. That one a lot of people liked, but I don't think people want to pay the money for that truck. My front-facing camera while live streaming does not like me using it. It likes the regular camera. The front-facing camera is, I think, only 40 megapixel, and it does just fine. It can keep up. But if I switch over to the front-facing camera, which is like, I think is 104 megapixel or something like that, it does not like to live stream and use that at the same time. Yeah, I mean, that's that truck is fast. We just had 6 brand new Explorers dropped off the other day. We had I think one or two new F-150s dropped off. We got quite a few used cars still. We got, an assortment of 17, 16 Explorers, 18, 17 F-150, 17, 18 F-150. We got, we got a lot of F-150s here. And then we had this one popped up the other day. Let's walk over here. I don't know if I'll still have reception walking over here. I wanted to actually see this one and stop and look at it. It's a 90 or 99 or 2000 model, I think. Maybe it's a early 2000 model F-150. And I think they got it on the lot for $5,000. Somebody's going to come and snatch this up because it literally just got here like a day or two ago, I think. And they just put it out front today. It's a Super Crew or the old crew cab. Let me know if it's getting too choppy. No, we'll just jump off, but we'll see if I can show you guys this truck. I have not seen one this clean in a long, long, long time. The hood is a little faded, but overall, not all rusted out like you normally see these. Somebody's painted some of it. I haven't seen one of these in a long, long, long time without like the fenders gone and everything. It's still an old it'd still be like a beater to drive to work every day. Nothing to be super proud of, but normally we don't put stuff like this on the lot, but it's been so hard to get vehicles. We're like, you know what? We're putting it out. The molding's missing right here on the side, but I think the reason they put it out here is because it's got like brand new Wrangler tires on it. It's an 02. It's not all rotted out, nothing's falling off of it, you know, so the hood right here is faded. Normally we don't put stuff like that on the lot. Normally every single thing on the lot's like brand newish, you know. Let's see what else we got. That's a Harley Davidson edition F-150. I've never seen one of those before. This is the first one I've ever seen in a new body style F-150. I've never in my life seen one. The exhaust sounds amazing on this thing. Have you guys seen the new Raptor? Like the video or the picture I posted? This is the brand new Raptor. We just got it in this afternoon. Here's a brand new Bronco we just got as well. I think it's only been here for like 4 or 5 days. This is the Big Bend Bronco. Here's the new Raptor. This thing looks pretty aggressive. $79, and then because of the market right now and not able to get vehicles, they actually have a market tag on it. But this vehicle is actually marked up $20,000 because of the market right now. This vehicle out the door I think is $99,045. Some new Explorers down here. Another brand new F-150 down there. A new Escape down there. Here's the Shelby Super Baja right here. $145,000 for that truck. It's got like electronically, hydraulically controlled or something, LED bar on top, and extra tires in the back. Shelby, everything inlaid inside, including the dash and all that. And this, I think, this down here is yeah, that's a new F-150 too. There's a new F-150. There's a new F-150. Let's see what else we had here. There's like used cars. It's a 2020 Cherokee. It's a 13 Jeep, 17 Escape. These are the ones I like. I like these edges. I like this body style edge. It's not an Explorer, it's not an Escape, it's in between. This is my favorite body style vehicle of the Ford SUV line. Or like the Sport, the 3.5 liter twin turbo. Here's another one. I really like this one a lot. It's very, very sporty, a lot of room inside. Here's a King Ranch F-150 right here. What is this? 19 model. These are super nice inside. '18 F-150 Lariat. 17 F-150 King Ranch. I bet you this one's stuck. They're gonna have to grease that up. That side step there. I bet you somebody forgot to kick it back in the other day, and with all the rain we had, those pivot points probably need to be cleaned out and greased now. Then we got a couple Fusions, a Mazda. We got some more F-150s up there. Is that an FX4? '16 Silverado. This is a 19 2500 heavy duty Cummins Ram long bed. This thing is massive. They tried pulling this in the shop and put it on the rack, and it like hanging so far off the rack, it was unreal. Oh, remember that? I don't know. I love being here. I'm like, I grew roots. I'm part of the asphalt now, man. You remember that F-150 that I did the BG engine flush? I kind of went wild. It was like all the sludge and stuff inside the motor and all that other stuff, and it was like people were giving us all kinds of grief, saying, "Oh, you guys are crazy. You're thieves. You got a motor that's sludged up like that, and you're gonna sell it to the public and sell it at the auction." And I'm trying to tell people, I was like, look, man, relax. Until you know what goes on in the dealership life, there's two things that'll happen with a vehicle that's that bad motor-wise. It's going to go to an auction that other dealers buy vehicles from, and it's their problem at that point. It's not the public's problem. Any public person cannot go to a dealer auction and just buy a vehicle. It's another dealer that makes a choice to buy that vehicle, and then they choose to fix it or not fix it, or maybe turn around and sell it to somebody else for a profit, and we lose all the money. Well, this is the truck right here. I said, what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out, A, is it going to go to auction? Or B, are we going to put a motor in it? We put a motor in it. We junked the other motor. Got an EcoBoost engine with like 60,000 miles. I think we ended up paying like $4,000 for the motor. Paid a technician like 19 or 20 hours to just do a freshen up on everything. New gaskets that needed to be replaced. New exhaust studs and stuff like that. All the little sensitive items that need to be replaced. Put it out here on the lot. So 2012, it's got like 50, 60,000 miles or something like that on this motor. We didn't screw anybody over. We put an engine in it. The other engine's right in the back of the shop. Earlier, when I was walking out the door, that long block that was tore apart, or that looked real shoddy and stuff, that's the engine that came out of that truck. The junky one. We put a good one in it. 18 F-150. I love this color. This gray is like really cool. 18 F-150. 17 F-150. 2020 Silverado. These people, when they traded, they were like, we want out of it completely. They didn't enjoy it. They enjoyed nothing about that truck. They got like a loaded, I don't know if it's an XLT or something like that, F-150, and that's what they traded it in for. This is a sexy truck. I love this Denali. That Denali is sexy. This truck here is a good looking truck. I don't care who you are. That's like a, that's like the perfect looking truck for me. I love the way this looks. I love the way the rims look. I love the way the paint and everything is laid out. I love how it's just got the nice touches of trim that's not all gaudy and stuff. It's just a gorgeous truck. No, not 3.7. That's an Edge with a 3.5 liter. And then there's a Edge with, what is it? The Edge Sport. It's a 2.7 liter twin turbo. And then behind it, there's a Sport Explorer with a 3.5 liter twin turbo. I just don't like the way that 2020 Silverado looks. It's ugly. I don't like that truck at all. I don't like the way the round wheel wells look. You're right. I like the square wheel wells. I don't like the round ones. And look at this. This is the truck I told them I wanted. I would have gave my left for this thing. That's the one I want. This truck is the perfect truck for me. There ain't nothing rusted out on this truck. There's nothing falling off on this truck. There's nothing coming out from underneath this truck. There's not a speck of anything rotten on this truck anywhere. I told them I'm ready. I'm ready to buy this truck now. And they said it's not for sale. Somebody already owns it. 7.3 Power Stroke. When I seen it back there and I seen the auction tag on it, I was like, oh, what can I do? I gotta have this truck. And they were like, nah. Somebody's already bought it from auction. They bought it from auction as a steal, but now everything on the motor is leaking. There's nothing rotten on the truck anywhere, and it runs and it drives, but everything is leaking on that motor. The oil pan is, the bottom of the cylinder heads are leaking. So we gave them the option. Do you want to refresh the motor and reseal everything? It's going to be expensive as hell. Or do you want to replace the motor? What do you want to do? So they want it all fixed, but they're trying to figure out where they want to go with it. Do they want us to pull the motor apart and reseal everything, new gaskets, new everything? Or are they actually going to get a long block for it and just let us basically make the truck brand new? This is nice. I like that. I really like that truck. This new Silverado is hideous. I'm standing right next to a Chevy dealer too, talking about how hideous Silverados are. That truck is ugly. I don't like how the bumper comes up into the grill. I don't like how rounded everything is and how bubbly. It looks almost cartoonish, like somebody drew it up with a crayon, like a 5-year-old drew the design of this truck up. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. This is just an ugly truck. But that one is not so bad. I'm glad you like it. I don't like it at all. I just think it's an ugly vehicle. But now, you walk around, you see the front of that compared to the front of this. It's like, oh baby, oh baby. What your name is? Now she's talking to you. That's them bedroom eyes right there. Bedroom eyes all the time. See, that's nice. That's nice. But do you know what's even nicer than that? That right there. Ooh, what that is? That's a Lamborghini panel wagon, sapphire blue. All right, time to go home. Oh, yeah. Y'all ever seen one of these? Now that's a sexy ride. That is a, you don't see those every day. That's a nice ride. You open the back door on that thing, the trunk, and there's a seat there. You can actually sit in the back seat and look out. That's a nice ride. What do I think about the Transits? Somebody asked about that earlier. Yeah, I like the Transits actually. The Transits have a good motor in them. The 3.7, the 3.5, even the smaller Transits with the naturally aspirated Ford engines, they run really well. They don't have a lot of problems either. I mean, you beat the hell out of them. Every once in a while you get a catalytic converter or something that goes bad, but overall, the Transits, they run. They're runners. And then you got the 3.5 liter EcoBoost Transits. Now they're fast, scary fast sometimes, because when you're in a van, you don't expect that. And then you go test drive one and it's like, damn, this thing is fast. But you got an EcoBoost engine again. You know, that's another thing too. How come we're not getting all the cam phaser rattles and recalls and everything else and TSBs and stuff on them? I mean, they do have their problems. The turbo studs break. You do get coolant leaks sometimes on a 3.5 liter turbo Transit, but it's nowhere near the problems that the F-150s have. I mean, there's something to be said for that. I just don't get it. But they're nice. They're runners. No, 14 was the last year I think they made any of the Econolines. I think it was 2014. You could still get a 5.4, is it 2-valve or 3-valve or something like that. The diesel tech that left here, he bought one. He's got one that it has like 35,000 miles on it. He blacked out the windows. He put like the nicer 10-ply Econoline like E350 Transforce tires and stuff on it. That thing since 2014 or 15, I forget the last year you can get that. It's the last year you could get it. He went through and put new calipers, new caliper brackets, new pads, new rotors, new everything. I mean, this thing's like brand spanking new. It's got all the seats and everything still in it, and it's that real nice Ford gray color, and he wants to sell it. It's immaculate. He's even got like the over-the-road truck mud flaps, the custom ones for like the Econoline vans. Everything is just pristine in this thing, and I think he said he wants like 17 or 18,000 for this thing, but there's nothing that needs to be done to it. The thing's like brand new off the showroom floor, like new. Literally, there's no rust. It gets buffed and waxed or something like that, like once a month or once every couple months. This thing stays clean all the time, and it's kind of like his pride and joy, but he wants to sell it. I'm doing okay. The service riders do, because the service riders will get a feel for what the tech's strong suits are. So if you have somebody like me that can pretty much do everything, it's kind of luck of the draw. I might be doing a Takata airbag recall right now, but my next job is a rear end on an F-150 or a 250 or something like that needs to be rebuilt. And then the next job after that is a Mustang that comes in with some kind of phantom electrical issue. I mean, you have techs that can literally do everything, and you have techs that are like super good at cam phasers, motor overhauls, and stuff like that. It just all depends on what you want. I get involved with everything, so they could literally give me anything on the lot and I could just go do it, or anything that comes in the door and I could just go do it. But if something specific comes in, like, this guy's done 40 cam phaser jobs on an F-150, but yet I've done more electrical diagnosis and more like small bore engine rebuilds on like 1.5s or 2-liter long blocks, they might say, you know what, give him over there the cam phaser job, because he's going to get 2 or 3 done by the time I'll get 1 done. But then they may say, go over there and give Rich the long block replacement or the 1.5 liter short block deal, because by the time he gets 1 done and starts on the other one, gets it finished, he could have already had 2 or 3 of the cam phaser jobs done, to where vice versa we would lose our ass. I can do the cam phaser deals no problem, but it'll take me 2 or 3 hours longer than book time, just because I don't rush through anything. But on the motor jobs, some stuff I can say, sometimes some stuff I can't say on here. I can do those motor jobs real easy, where a lot of guys, they struggle. I don't struggle. I know exactly where to put my hands, what needs to come apart as they're coming apart, and I love doing those. Those are easy. I just found out today that my 2-liter long block for the 2.0 EcoBoost Edge that I just diagnosed a couple weeks ago, it's actually in. So tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to be able to start that engine, or start doing that motor swap, the long block swap. And you guys will see a lot of that and what goes into it. It's not that hard. You just got to have the right tools, the right mindset, and just be patient and not rush anything. And then once you become efficient, it's slow, steady is fast. Then you start getting really good at stuff without even trying to rush it. You're already just naturally becoming faster because you're more proficient at it. And then your body just naturally starts to adjust to, okay, this can be faster, this can be faster, this can be faster. And that's how you figure out who gets the jobs. And then a lot of times you have to look at, if you got a hack in the shop that has multiple comebacks, it comes out the bottom. You got in an argument with this guy saying that I got in an argument with this guy. He was like, "You are just clout chasing Scotty Kilmer." I said, "No, you're just calling him out." I don't care about Scotty Kilmer. What I care about is the bad information he puts out to other people. That's it. And you know, when I have customers that come here and buy our vehicles, that rely on us for our information, that come here to me for my expertise, and then come see me at the dealership, and they're messaging me, telling me, "Hey, what's this guy saying about these F-150s?" What am I? It would be stupid for me not to at least speak up and try to make sense of the situation. You know, that's my livelihood. And when somebody else is talking bad about my livelihood and what I do every single day, yet they don't have the basis to back it up, and they don't have the training or technical information to go behind what they're saying, I have to speak up against somebody like that. I know some people don't want to hear it. Some people like hearing it. Some people want to attack me because I'm a better technician than him. I have more information than him. I know how to fix all these newer vehicles that he doesn't know how to fix. So, you know, I'm not clout chasing. There's no clout to chase. He's got 4.5 million subscribers. He gets credit for that. He's conned enough people over the 15 years that he's been on the internet to get that. Keep conning people. That's fine. Oh yeah, I saw that. Where I actually went back and seen that, and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is this guy on? Telling people that they got to have some $4,000 or $5,000 scanner to talk to these diesels. He absolutely knows nothing about what he's talking about in the grand scheme of things. He might know enough to help people out, fix their car. He might know enough to get people pointed in the right direction, but when it comes to the ins and outs and the meat of what's actually going on, that's not the guy. You go to guys that are doing this stuff every single day, that are in these shops, that are pulling this stuff apart, that don't have all the answers and admit that, but yet they're going to try to work with you no matter what it takes to get to the bottom of it. I've worked for weeks going back and forth on emails with people and then sending me videos and everything else, to come to find out they're like, you know what? We both were right. This is what it was. We were both talking about the same thing, and we just didn't have the exact answer for it. Here's what the problem was. You don't find them all the time. You don't have all the answers for everything. But you just do the best you can to help people. Ford Ranger 3.0, probably one of the most reliable motors that you're ever going to find. A dog. They're not fast at all, but they are a solid engine. Solid engine. Nothing wrong with that motor. Love that motor. Super reliable. So anyway, I quit with the Kilmer stuff, and I quit even bringing that up, and I don't think I'm honestly ever going to make another video unless it's about him, unless it's like something super stupid that could be like very harmful to people. I've just learned now that no matter what, he's going to continue doing what he's doing, and there's no point in me even talking about that guy. I'm giving him too much space in my head and too much space on my channel, and I'm done. I'm not gonna, I have no interest in even talking about him anymore, other than my hashtag prove him wrong, because he is wrong. Do I think that they made a mistake getting rid of the sedans? Based on the economy and the needs of people, no. I mean, people don't want small vehicles anymore, and the better fuel mileage the bigger vehicles are getting, and the more power that they're making. I think for the safety aspect and like building families and stuff like that, the small vehicles are for like a single kid. You know, once you start getting past one kid, maybe two at the max, the sedans really don't cut it anymore, and people nowadays are having multiple kids, and a lot of them are thinking more to the future and not so much short term. So right, Ford makes their money off of their trucks, their SUVs, and the Mustang. That's where they make their money. They had what was it, Ken Block or somebody, I forget which drift guy actually built one,
They took a 5-liter and put it. It was a drift car. It was a 5-liter Fusion. It had a drift stick right in the center of it, and that guy was whipping that thing all over the place. It was crazy watching him take that Fusion. It was his own custom 5-liter Fusion. It was absolutely insane. You couldn't get traction with that car if you tried. It was just all over the place. You know what's an insane Fusion? And a lot of people are asleep on it, and I've seen cars absolutely get waxed by the 2.7-liter Sport Fusion, the all-wheel drive one. That thing is insanely fast, man. Just a guy came in here with a exhaust, cold air intake. It was like a dual snorkel, higher end cold air intake, and it had like glass cased filters, and it had to be tuned. Well, what else did he do? He had a boom blow off valve and some other stuff done. I think bigger injectors or something like that, and a bigger fuel pump. And this car was making like right at or just over 400 horsepower to the wheel, and the thing was absolutely insane. Just seeing him launch it, leaving the parking lot out here, and how fast this thing was, I was like, oh my God. They had Fusion Sports that were like the earlier, bigger V6s instead of the 3-liter. I think you could get it in like a 3.5 or something, like 2010. And I thought, I don't know if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know everything about that body style Fusion when it comes to the Sport. I thought there was like a 3.7-liter introduced in 2010 as well, but it was in, I thought it was like in the Lincoln line or something like that. In 2010, they introduced the 3.7-liter, but it was like the Lincoln MK, the newer, more like sleek, sexy-looking Lincoln, like the MKZ or something. Not the square body style, but the nicer body style that had more of that luxurious look to it. You could get the 3.7-liter in that body style around then, and that was a nice car. That's a nice ride. It's a very, very good-looking ride. The Fusion Sport, as soon as we get those like 2008 to 2012 model Fusions, they go. They don't stay on the lot. People come and buy them immediately. They don't. That one that I showed you guys the video where somebody traded in that, it was like an 08 or something Fusion, 08 or 09. It had the 3-liter motor in it, a really good motor, and it was misfiring on cylinder 2. And a lot of people didn't know that when the ignition coils go bad on those cars, and they can't figure out by just replacing ignition coils and spark plugs, it actually takes out the PCM driver and stuff for cylinder 2 as well. And you can actually go into your data logger and you can look at the command for the ignition coil, and you can actually see it's doing nothing. The driver's dead. It's not even trying to work. So the ignition coil goes back, overloads or backfeeds the circuit and takes out the driver and the PCM as well. So not only are you going to have to replace the ignition coils and the spark plugs, but you also have to replace and reprogram the PCM for the keys and stuff as well. And somebody traded that car in. There was like nothing wrong with it really. It had brand new rims and tires. Everything underneath was bone dry. It just had a fresh oil change. The brakes and stuff were done. And they traded it in because they couldn't figure out, I think, what was wrong with it. They just didn't know what was wrong with it. So they traded it in for a newer style Fusion. And then I just took a $250 used PCM from LKQ out of Texas. 6 new ignition coils and spark plugs. About 2.5 hours worth of labor. Had it all back together, programmed. Vehicle running like it was brand new. No issues at all. Sold within a week. A guy came here who was looking for a vehicle for his daughter, and it only had like 74,000 miles on it. The thing ran flawless. A lot of power for that little car, that 3-liter, and him and his daughter came and looked at it, and she was sold right away. And he asked to speak to the technician that worked on it, and I actually showed him the YouTube video of me repairing the vehicle and everything. Like he was sold immediately when he got done talking to me. I showed him all the things that I went in and did. I showed him the reason I did it. I showed him my YouTube video on the car. He bought the car right away. He was like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to pay cash for it. My daughter needs a good car, and I've never been treated with this kind of service to see what all has went into a used vehicle that I'm buying, and you guys are obviously honest. And I think I put a valve cover gasket in one of the... there was another Fusion I did where I had to put a valve cover gasket in it because it was leaking. and I fixed the wire going to one of the injectors. A rat chewed the wire, and it was another one with only like 62,000 miles. Another father came with his daughter and bought that car as well. And I also showed him the video of me pulling the valve cover, showing the inside of the motor, how clean it was, showing me doing the oil change, repairing the wire and stuff. He, again, sold the vehicle immediately. They love those cars. Right when I started here at this dealership, some guy showed up and he was walking around the lot aimlessly, kind of like by himself. Nobody knew what he was out here for. He didn't want to talk to a salesman at all. But when he seen me walking across the lot, he grabbed me and he said, "Hey, do you have like a 2006, 2008 to 2012 Fusion? You have one of those body styles?" And I was like, "What the hell's this guy on with this Fusion? Hey, we got a lot full of brand new Fusions. Why do you want..." Man, and over the last like 3 years of me doing my research and really working on those cars and really getting more familiar with them, I know why. They didn't have problems. They were just runners. They ran and ran and ran. And I was like, you know what? Every one of them that come in here, they're either super low mile Fusions. They come in here for like maybe an update or an oil change or something like that. Or maybe like a blend door actuator or something goes out on it. Whatever it may be. Something small, something not real serious. You see them with, they're either 50,000 mile cars or they're 200,000 mile cars. And people either save them and don't drive them a lot, or it's like some old lady's car, or they drive them every single day and they drive the living hell out of them and they still run like they're brand new. Even the ones that come in here falling apart because they've been in multiple accidents and stuff, they're still just driving along, no problem at all. You know, they just run. We can't keep them on the lot. You'll never see one here for more than a week or two. It'll be sold. And every one of the town cars, or every one of the Crown Vics that we put out on the lot, that doesn't matter if it's got 150,000 miles on it or 40,000 miles on it. A couple weeks, maybe a month, they're sold. They don't sit here on the lot. People come and buy them right away. The last one that was on the lot was the one I put on the channel a couple months ago. It was like a 2010 legit P71. It was the captain, the local police station here. He kept his car. He traded it in on a newer cop car. And some guy came from Kentucky and paid $10,500 for that car. 2010 P71, and it had 42,000 miles on it, 45,000 miles on it. He came from Kentucky and bought that car $5,000 less than what they were asking, because that's what those cars are selling for now. People are on the internet saying all the time, "Oh, you know, you're charging too much for that. You're charging too much for this." It's whatever the person's going to pay for the car. And those cars are selling for a lot of money with low miles. It just doesn't matter. They sell. Some old lady saw the black and white P71 we had on the lot not too long ago. They had a brand new engine harness, intake manifold, what was it? New EGR, new alternator and stuff. Somebody had went through and they were chasing an electrical problem and they just started replacing everything. New PCM. What happens on those Crown Vics is the wiring harness on the back of the engine will lay down like on the back of the block and it'll rub. And they'll start chasing like an EGR code. And it's just simply a rub through wire. And people don't know, if you inspect the harness and you actually dig into that harness and actually open it up and look, you're going to find a couple wires that are probably rubbed through, and that's the problem that you're having. But people don't know that. People don't know to look there. And what they'll do is they'll throw a PCM at it, they'll throw an EGR at it, and eventually they'll replace the whole entire wiring harness when there's like nothing low book value on the P71s. But I think it's not just YouTubers in general. It's the demand for vehicles that can be run, 250,000 plus miles and still be on the road safely. 95 Bronco. Yeah, what do I remember about that? I remember one of my coworkers had to replace the engine harness because of some kind of fuel injector connection issues or something like that. And then the guy here as well, not the Bronco, but he's got a 95 F-150. I would think that the harness would be similar in some way, shape, or form. I know they're not the same vehicle, but he had to do the same thing. But that's because there was a lot of, I think, cracked and dry spots on the harness. But also mice chewed on that harness as well. But that's all I know of. I don't know any inherent problems, but I do remember a few situations where the F-150s and Broncos guys did put harnesses in to fix problems. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate it. But, you know, I wasn't around a lot to work on those, so I can only give minimal experience. Most of my stuff is like mid-2000 on. You know, 2004, 2005 on. Every once in a while, I'll get involved in some, like, earlier 2000 model stuff, like 2000, 98, 99. But that whole era of 90 into 80 and stuff, some of the 70s, I didn't really have very much to do with. But now you start talking about like 1958 to 1966 Thunderbirds. I mean, I lived at a guy's house and did nothing but restore those. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just learned on the fly. I was working on 390s. What were the old ones, like 430s? Some of the vehicles he had 460s. He had all kinds of stuff. Oldsmobile Starfires, 3 Deuce Cadillacs. There was all kinds of stuff this guy had. And it would just be, you learn on the fly. There's nobody guiding you. There's nobody teaching you what to do. You took stuff apart and you figured out how to put it back together. I remember he took me on trips to Nashville to figure out how they take the old school Thunderbirds and Chevelles and the old school cars and stuff like that and strip down all the chrome and replate everything at the professional factories. And they took us to a chrome dipping factory down in I think it was it Nashville? And it was a I appreciate that. Do you cab off everything? Let me see here. I didn't catch that. Do you cab off everything on the 3.5? Nah, no. Phasers you can do in chassis. It's pretty easy to do if you just get used to the space that you have. It's not difficult. Cab off would be like if you got coolant lines or something going to the turbos, or you got snap studs or something. I've seen guys try to do them in chassis and fight. A couple hours you can have the cab off of that thing, just up in the air doing all your work right there with everything exposed and open. You cab off a lot of stuff, but not everything. Every time there's a brand new Ford vehicle, do you Ford mechanics have meetings on how to work on these new designs? No, not at all. Honestly, they get thrown at us. We got diagnostic charts, PTS manuals and stuff, classrooms where we have to go sit down and learn. Eventually the manufacturer steps up and says, hey, these guys got to go to all these classes, send them. There's no option. They got to go. If they're going to be working on these vehicles, they have to have the classroom time. But by then, we've already had so much on-car time, like actual live time, that we already know what we're doing. And then with the amount of manuals and information and wiring schematics and stuff that come out, we end up figuring it out anyway. It's just following step by step. Once you've done, so many escapes and fusions, any of the new ones or new trucks that come out, it pretty much becomes child's play. Yeah, there's some new things that you got to learn. There's some new parts that are added to the engine or something like that. There's new programming involved, but it all just starts to fall into play. And then they do have, if you get a new high pressure fuel system, if you have like a new type of transmission that you're not familiar with, they will actually send you to class and you got to sit down and you got to learn about that stuff. All right, guys, it's late. I've already said it a couple times. Could you do a show on the right way to remove a Ford pickup cab? Ooh, show on the right way to remove it. I could. Gotta have the truck for that. I could. When I get the right vehicle for that, we'll do a cab off. We'll do a cab off and I'll do a video on nothing but what to do. I mean, it's so easy to do. There's nothing difficult about it. Are the 9th gen F-150s any good? I'm in love with the design of and get a chance to drive one at the new shop I'm working. There's one getting a short block and my coworker always talks crap about them. they have their problems, man. I mean, they have their issues. You know, that was just like when this newer body style Chevy and stuff came out, and people are like, oh, it's so nice, or oh, it's so ugly, one or the other. And then you see YouTubers, see it, man. Then you see YouTubers that have these brand new trucks and stuff like that, and they're in the Chevy dealership because lifters are dropping and stuff like that, taking out cam lobes and stuff, and you know, they all have their issues. It just all depends on what your flavor of Kool-Aid is. I'm out of here, guys. I want to get I want to go home, relax, and go to bed and pick up this chaos again tomorrow. We've been on here for a long time, and whoever's dropped that super chat earlier, thank you. I seen the name pop up. Let me go say thank you personally for that, if it'll let me scroll back far enough, and it won't let me scroll back far enough. It cut me off, but whoever dropped that super chat earlier, appreciate that. I appreciate that. Ring that bell, rev up your engine. Nope, not worked on any Mach-E's. Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely put the Fusion somewhere, you know, close category with the Crown Vics as well. Yeah, 94 Escort was a tank, that's for sure. So there's no difference between a Crown Vic and a town car? Of course. I mean, chassis-wise, pretty much the same. Motor transmission-wise, pretty much the same. A town car is a lot more luxurious. It rides better to me because of the air ride stuff, but you could also get the air ride in some of the other Panther platform designs as well. It wasn't just the town car. To be honest with you, the town car and the Crown Vic, they pretty much run hand in hand. You could get all those loaded options on all those other lines as well. It wasn't just the town car that had those options. Pretty much, you could pretty much call them the same. They're not the same, but there was so much that they had. Let's just put it this way: there's more that's the same that's not, than that's not. They're great vehicles. They mimic each other in design and you know, drivetrain and chassis design overall. They're very close. They're very similar. So all right, guys, I'm out. I gotta go. Be blessed. Catch y'all later.